An all-new Eye on the Bay starts now in HD.
Tonight, we're going on a trip from San Jose
to the Emerald City of Seattle, Washington.
But we're not flying up there. We're going a way that takes much longer and costs more too. Why in the world would we do that?
We're your Gotta Get Away for the Day guide, your Let's Try a New Place to Eat guide, even your Hey, it really happened here guide. We're the tour guide with you in mind. Eye on the Bay.
Hey, welcome to Eye on the Bay. Come on in. I'm Brian Hackney, and it's time for another road trip. Only this time I'm going to let somebody else do the driving. And this isn't exactly a road. All aboard!
That's right, I'm riding the rails from San Jose to Seattle. Somebody else does the hard work. I get to relax, eat, and soak up the scenery.
Now, for people who will say, wait a minute, I can fly to Seattle in 90 minutes. I can do it more cheaply. You would say, what's the advantage of going by train?
Well, flying is for people who are in a hurry and don't want to enjoy life, and they'd have busy schedules, I guess. But if you want to relax and see the things that God's put here that you can't see from the air, you can't see this from the air from a highway.
We're going to stop about halfway in Klamath Falls, Oregon to see the sparkling Crater Lake, and we'll spend some time at our ultimate destination.
Welcome to Seattle. This is how we like it over here.
But on the way, it's an adventure on 1,000 feet of steel wheels. Join us, won't you?
Now, with some 600 miles between us and Seattle, let me introduce you to Amtrak's Coast Starlight.
This is one of Amtrak's most popular routes. The Coast Starlight tracks run from Los Angeles to Seattle, on which every day, one train makes the trip north, another one heads south. Total riding time on our leg, San Jose to Seattle, just over 24 hours. And cost? Well, you can ride and coach from San Jose to Seattle for about $100 a seat. But we're going to experience the sleeper rooms, which cost about $400 to $600, or $200 to $300 a person. The sleepers fit 2 people or more. But if you're in a sleeper car, you get free meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, plus your own parlor car to relax in, and of course, a comfy bed.
And you can relax, you can read, you can...
Relax, you can read, you can sleep, you can make new friends, you can eat some great food on the dining car.
This is good.
But why do so many people choose to take this longer, more expensive means of transport? Well, because of this, and this, and this. Stunning scenery and a sense of calm you really can't get in the airways or the highways.
Now, this epic journey actually began last night in San Jose. Coast Starlight train number 14 pulled into the station at San Jose at 8:30 p.m. Now we've hit Oakland about an hour later. We're pulling out of the Oakland station, and it was a short day, so we're going to pull the curtain on it and say good night.
When we woke up the next morning, we were in Oregon.
Stop number 1, we hit 45 minutes early. The still snowy Klamath Falls, 355 miles north of San Francisco. Let's check out this place.
We're going to spend a day and night here in Klamath Falls. Why Klamath Falls? Well, it's a cute little town, but it's also home to Oregon's only national park, Crater Lake, and it's our first stop.
The best way to get to Crater Lake would be...
Take the Crater Lake trolley.
During the season, which is usually the 1st of July through the 2nd week of October, we offer the opportunity for people that come in on Amtrak or locals to ride a trolley up to Crater Lake and back each day.
Wow, that's great. So you don't necessarily have to rent a car. You could come in by train, take the trolley, go out there.
Much more fun, yes.
We're climbing about 3,000 feet, and while there were a few snowflakes in Klamath Falls, it's a full-on winter wonderland up here.
I don't know if we're going to get that lucky today.
Here at the snow-drenched visitor center, we got a Crater Lake crash course from Ranger Dave Grimes.
Before there was a lake here, there was a giant volcano. 7,700 years ago, a giant eruption lasted about a week, and the collapse of the mountain took 1 or 2 hours. Today, Crater Lake is the deepest lake in the United States. It's a pretty incredible transformation from a 12,000 foot tall peak to America's deepest lake.
Now, time to head up there. You ready, Terry? Oh my God, that is gorgeous. Where is it?
Right there.
You're kidding. The lake is really right there?
It would normally be.
Crater Lake, you have foiled us today. We shall return on a nicer day.
The truth is, even in the summertime, the lake can be fogged in. But the view when it's clear is worth the gamble, or so I'm told. Terry felt bad enough to give us a ride back to our hotel, the Running Y Ranch. Cozy lobby, nice bar, our home for our overnight residence in Klamath Falls.
21,000 people live in Klamath, and it gets about 30 inches of snow a year. But it's also volcano country, and they take advantage of that. For instance, 500 homes use geothermal power for heat, and they also use it for sidewalks to melt the snow. There's pipes buried underground, and that's not the only thing they use geothermal heat for.
We're the only brewery that heats our water geothermally.
Billy Harwood Sloan is one of the brewmasters here at the Klamath Basin Brewing Company.
No foreign oil required.
No oil, very little electricity.
Yeah, that's really pretty cool.
But all the locals know us as simply the Creamery. We have our Crater Lake Amber Ale, our Drop Dead Red Ale, our Butt Crack Brown Ale.
Named after somebody?
Well, named after one of the guys who originally opened this place.
We had a long day today. We got to hit the sack early tonight because we have got a very early train to catch tomorrow morning. Stay with us as Eye on the Base trip to Seattle continues on the steel road ahead after a break.
Coming up, jaw-dropping scenery you can't see from an airplane window or even from I-5, and what to do with 24 hours in Seattle.
Welcome back to Eye on the Bay as you see part of Central Oregon flying by. I'm Brian Hackney as we continue on our trip from San Jose up to Seattle on Amtrak's Coast Starlight. Now, we left Klamath Falls this morning. We're heading toward Eugene. And while train travel today seems like kind of an unusual way to travel, there was a time when this was the only way to fly.
From the mid-1800s until 1920, nearly all intercity travelers in the U.S. went by rail. Then, with the introduction of the automobile and air travel, riding the train lost steam. Many railroads went bankrupt in the 50s and 60s. Yet in 1971, Amtrak was formed as a government corporation to take over several ailing railroads. Since then, Amtrak has slowly revived ridership with faster trains and additional amenities, although I doubt any of these riders of yesteryear would care that there's free Wi-Fi in the parlor car. But one thing has stayed the same over years of rail travel. The head honcho on the train is, and always has been, the conductor.
Oh, it's gorgeous out here today. Look at this.
Our conductor is Wes Archibald.
What's your step, ma'am?
How long have you worked for Amtrak?
This year starts my 24th year.
You must like it.
I do, I love it.
Yeah. You got a nice office.
I got the best office view in the world, don't I?
Yeah. Well, Wes, what's your job specifically? What do you do as conductor?
As a conductor, I am responsible for the administration and safety and operation of the train, its crew and passengers. And so I'm like the captain on the ship. I have a pretty responsible job. I have to make sure all the rules are adhered to, make sure that everything is safe, and we try to move the train on time as safely as we can. And we'll have a double stop coming up here at Schmelt. First one will be about 3 behind you, over.
Roger, integrity failure, double spot.
How many people does it take to actually get a Coast Starlight from Los Angeles to Seattle?
We have a crew of onboard staff of 15 and operating crew of 4. So it takes a good 19, 20 people.
How many passengers typically, let's say on a summer day, will a train carry?
Oh, we'll have upwards to 400 passengers on this train. It is full capacity, sure.
Now there's a good deal of this trip you are not going to see it from I-5. You're not going to see it from the 101.
Don't even come close.
Yeah. So this will be, even for people who have traveled the states their entire lives, they come on Amtrak, they're going to see something they've never seen before.
On every Amtrak route, you're going to see something you've never seen before because we go back away from the roads to where nobody else goes.
What fuels the train?
Diesel.
Okay, so you're running on
diesel, right? And the engines are General Electrics, and they are powered, of course, by diesel engines. They're 4,250 horsepower apiece.
What's top speed for an Amtrak train?
Top speed, we can go at 150, but not on this railroad.
Sorry.
Our top speed out here is 79 miles an hour.
And how many cars on a typical summer day, how many cars are there on an Amtrak trip?
On this particular train right here, there are usually 12 cars and 2 engines.
And who's driving this train?
I got a couple of great guys, our engineers up there. Really good guys and good engineers.
Amtrak 11, let's roll 96 over.
Roll, Lord.
And it's not autopilot. There's constantly
No, they have to stay awake and pay attention. It's like flying an airplane almost. They have certain things they have to do up there.
And they got a steering wheel, or what do they do?
No, we don't use steering wheel. We have tracks in lieu of a steering wheel. That's how. But that's a lot of people ask that question. Who's steering? Well, the tracks are steering. That's how we get there.
We've been on this route for a long time. Probably my favorite part's going up through the mountains. Real pretty country up there.
Those engines are pulling the equivalent of an entire hotel behind them. Lounges, restaurants, and of course, rooms.
Now, if you've always thought of an Amtrak train as just a Greyhound bus on steel wheels, you've never been in a sleeper, which comes kind of in different flavors. There's the roomette, where you sit knee to knee with whoever you're traveling with in your own compartment, and at night, there are 2 bunks that fold out, and one person's on top, the other's sleeping in the bottom bunk. If you want to spread out a little bit more, this is a deluxe room. I get my own bed, I get a miniature sink, and I get this, my own bathroom with a little shower built inside. But if this isn't enough room for the family, then what you need is the family room. A little more space, a swivel chair to watch the world go by, and more bunk space at night.
Coming up, think a 24-hour train ride with 4 kids would be a nightmare? This family says otherwise. Plus, giant trolls and even bigger views when we reach our destination, Seattle, Washington. Next.
Welcome back to Eye in the Bay. I'm Brian Hackney. You're watching part of Oregon Roll By as we continue on our train trip from San Jose up to Seattle. And while I am a train buff, and I've been having a blast doing this show so far, being a train buff is not a prerequisite. I mean, there's all sorts of things to enjoy. This, for instance.
A wine and cheese tasting at 70 miles an hour. Well, train travel has certainly evolved from its bumpy beginnings. Nowadays, passengers are called guests, and these days they enjoy, in addition to the Cabernet and Camembert, a coterie of comforts that riders of yore wouldn't dare dream of.
There are many, many little waterfalls on all the creeks and rivers in this area.
In the observation car, you'll often find a volunteer docent pointing out interesting landmarks and sights along the way. All that makes train travel attractive again to families like the Kachutans from Surprise, Arizona.
April is 8, Robert is 5, Joshua is 11, and Caitlin is 10. And we get to see a lot, and it's just a nice experience for our whole family as we're traveling.
What's the best part?
The scenery, for sure. And it's actually a comfortable train, and being able to just sit back and see everything has been really a great experience.
Here's another great thing. Do you know a restaurant that has ever-changing views? Well, Amtrak's is one that does. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, looking out the window. And if you don't like what you're seeing at the moment, just wait a minute.
This is part of the allure of travel by rail. The dining car always has been. After all, it is a novelty to sit at a table and order a meal while the countryside whizzes by you outside. Besides, if it's good enough for the conductor.
Because the burgers are killer. They are excellent.
We were a couple of hours north of Portland when the sun went down, in spectacular fashion, by the way. And a bit later, we started to see signs that we had reached our destination.
If you're home, welcome home. If you're continuing your travels around the country, travel safe, and we look forward to seeing you again on another Amtrak train. Thank you.
And finally, we pull into the station at Seattle 954 miles later. Now, we've got 24 hours to explore Seattle. It'll start with us bunking down at the hotel, and then we hit the city after a break. Taxi!
Coming up, a stony troll, a well-known needle, a seafood pancake, and a Jeremy gem. How many of Seattle's sights can we see in one day? We're going to find out next.
The bluest skies you've ever seen are in Seattle.
And you know what? The skies are blue in downtown Seattle today. How rare is that? This is the end of the line for our train trip north from San Jose, and we've just got 24 hours to spend in Seattle.
Our train got into Seattle at about 9 o'clock last night. We slept at the W Hotel, a hip and swanky spot right in downtown Seattle with great views and a recently renovated restaurant and a bar called Trace. Now we've got just one day to take in all the sights.
So we're going to start this day the way a lot of people who live in this town do. A cup of coffee drawn from the tap of the very first Starbucks. It was begun in 1971 by an English teacher, a history teacher, and a writer. This actually isn't the first place Starbucks opened. It was right around the corner. They moved here in 1976. It was Howard Schultz who took it worldwide in the 80s, and to this day, it attracts tourists from around the world. That Starbucks is part of Pike Place Market, which has been in continuous operation since 1907. It's one of the longest continuously operated farmers market in the entire country.
Yeah, would you like one? Awesome. You want one, sweetie? Here you go.
It's kind of their fisherman's wharf. So if you've only got a day, you've got to stop by here. But down these steps is something kind of quirky. It will either amaze or repulse. Covered by spit from around the world, it's the Market Theater gum wall. Began in 1993 by people who worked inside the theater. Twice the gum was scraped off, twice it returned, and by 1999 they said, leave it alone. It's one of our biggest tourist attractions and one of Seattle's stickiest situations. Here's another must stop in Seattle, unless you're afraid of needles.
It's the pointy president of Seattle's skyline, the Space Needle. What one-day tour of Seattle would be complete without a trip to the top?
That's a tenth of a mile to the observation deck at the restaurant. Go all the way to the top of the antenna spire, it's 602 feet. And yet this milestone, this landmark of Seattle, only took 7 months to build back in 1961, finished just in time for the 62 World's Fair. That means it's celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. Man, did we luck out with the visibility. It doesn't always look this good. We can see over to Elliott Bay. There's Mount Rainier looming over the skyscrapers of Seattle, and you can see all the way to the distant ranges. Like we're finally getting some love after being clouded out. So now we're in the Fremont neighborhood of Seattle, and we need to find some place to eat around here, so I thought I'd ask the Fremont Troll. You know of any place good?
The Troll's got good taste for a guy whose taste buds are made out of stone. Fremont, by the way, is a funky, artsy area on the north side of town. Here, you'll find Revel, a happening eatery that specializes in, of all things, Korean street food, short rib dumplings, coconut and mussel pancakes, salmon roe salad.
and seared ahi and spicy kimchi. I'm no expert. I'm an Hollister. This is good. That's really an amazing city. And while it's true that it takes you longer to get there by train and it's more expensive than it is by airplane, I'll tell you what, you probably have forgotten most of the plane trips that you've taken, but when you go by rail, you remember it for the rest of your life. And if you want more information about anything we've covered during the course of our little journey, log on to our website, cbssf.com/Eye in the Bay. For now, we gotta get running. We got a train to catch. See you next time.